Welcome. This is the Bridge Network City Church, Canada. We're very glad to have you here. And our vision is outstanding life and service to God, transforming our world. We invite you to come for the word, but we know that you will stay for the kingdom. The Bridge Network is located in Canada, Vancouver, and we believe in connecting to each other, to the community, and to God. To support us and to be part of this, these are the information you need to be able to do that. We welcome you to our program today, and we trust that you're going to be blessed. Thank you so much for being with us. The Bridge Network, City Church, Canada. God bless you. I don't all sorts of issues, and I really don't know what's happening today, but I'll just take a minute out and just acknowledge God. And the Bible says, submit yourself to God, resist the devil, and he'll flee from you. You know what Scripture promises us. So let's just hope we get it right. Anyway, we're starting this all over again now. Mr. Ademola Adewusi will be coming up to talk to us about politics, or seeking God's face at this time, and all the relevant. Encourage you to please take a good listen. He's a politician, very gifted in his craft, and I really hope you get something trained into its most, I don't know how to explain the election that is about around the corner. God bless you. Charlie, we can start.
I see your face. So there's a race. We will see his face. But before we see his face, there's a race we have to do what? Run. And it will give us what? The glory to live in his grace. Meaning there is power for everything we're going through. He will comfort us. If it were going to be easy, he will not send the comforter. I hope you know. If he knew, he said, in fact, he says, many are the trials of the righteous, right? But the Lord God will do what? He will deliver them from it all. So I understand where you are this week because I'm exactly where you are. You know the funny thing? I read a joke. He said, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, the poor are laughing at the rich. I should be you have money. We are collect it now. Our bankers were running from us. I will not mention names, but Teye is here. We thank God for his life. Okay. You know, it's a huge burden when there is palpable fear in the land. Everybody's sleeping. I say, what will happen tomorrow? I don't know. But somebody sent me a text. I thought it was a joke. He said, Ademola, but can the government seize all the money in our accounts and say we no longer have it? And I said, no, it's not going to happen. But that was fair. So, good morning, church. First, let me be very straightforward. If you missed first service, second service might be a bit iffy for you. So please, it is on the app. My slides are also going to be on the app. The app will make your life easy. And you can listen to it. Because in this period we're in, we're having to see whether we should be salt, or we should be light, or we should be bold. And I think the first service will help you. First, I want to thank the leadership of the church, especially Pastor Francis, Pastor Lumide, for giving me this opportunity. I know the reason why they give me anything that has to do with politics. They usually throw two of us in church. Anything that has to do with politics, either throw me or throw my brother Ajayi Okwe. It's okay. But I hope that by this time in the next 4 years, another electoral cycle, a lot of us here will also be within that space of politics because it has a lot. I'm not seeing my slides, please. It has a lot to do with our lives, more than you can even think about it. And I'm going to show you. The biblical reading I'm going to take is 1 Samuel 8. And please stay with me because I'm going to read all of it. I have it, okay? Oh, very good. It says, when Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as judges for Israel, meaning Israel did not have kings. Okay? Thank you. Israel did not have kings. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abijah. They served at Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways. Please note that. Samuel, given to the Lord right from when he was a zygote, he now had sons who did not follow in his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain. They were collecting bribes and accepted bribes and perverted justice because the priests used to rule and judge over Israel in the name of the Lord. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah, and they said to him, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now, appoint a king to lead us. These were people that God told them that I am your king. I will do anything for you. They literally had no problems. And they said, appoint a king to lead us, such as other nations have. But when they said this, they said, give us a king to lead us. This displeased Samuel. Samuel was knowledgeable enough to know that politics real or tereo. This is politics. You guys are rebelling against the Lord. So he prayed. And the Lord told him, listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their what? King. As they have done from the day I brought them out of Egypt until this day. Meaning God remembered all their transgressions, but he just chose not to remember. If you get what I'm talking about. Forsaking me and serving other gods. So they are doing to you now. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly and let them know that what the king who will reign over them will do. And Samuel said, this is what the king who will reign over you will do. Listen, he will take your sons and make them serve with chariots and horses. They will become soldiers. They will go and face Boko Haram. They will run in front of his chariots. How can somebody on leg be running in front of a chariot? Just to honor the king. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of 50s, and others to plow his ground, not their own ground, the king's grounds, and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. These were things they were not doing before, because God was fighting all their what? All their battles. He will take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take a tenth of your grain and your vintage and give it to his officials and what? Attendants. Your men servants and maid servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys, he will take for his own use. He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become what? His slaves. Now listen to this very well. He says, when that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, and the Lord will not answer you in that day. Shall we close church and go? We should close and go, Abi. No, because a lot of the things I put in my slides, I don't know who showed my sister Zainab. I don't know who showed Pastor Olame. In fact, Zainab prayed 2 prayer points I had here to pray. But the people refused to listen to Samuel. Can you imagine? He told them the grievous things that would happen if they chose for themselves a king. But they didn't listen. No. They said, we want a king over us. Then it will be like all the other nations. They were so... they had an identity crisis. And I talked about identity crisis earlier in the morning. Abi? Israel had an identity crisis. I mean, I was here when my brother, Pastor Akinwale, was preaching, and he traced the covenant of God for Israel from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. That genealogy ended at Jesus, Abi. For people who had that kind of covenant that God gave manna to, they still decided that they wanted to be like other nations that served other people. So, we want to be like other nations with a king to lead us and go out before us and fight our battles. You know, anytime I read this thing, it makes me want all the battles they had won before they became a nation. Who won it? Some of the nations the Israelites fought against, they were so tall that the Israelites thought they were giants. Do you know that some of those battles, God won them with rumors? Yes, some with sound. The king of Assyria camped, and God said he will hear a rumor, and he will go back and he will flee. The man heard a rumor and left. People who God had done that for suddenly realized, we need a king to fight our battles. How? Identity crisis. They looked at how other nations would carry their kings and make speeches and decorate tables with gold and silver. They didn't know it was an expensive business. And that business will take away from your purse as a citizen. When Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. Baba, Moti Sofan people, I told them, but they are insistent that they want a king. And the Lord answered, listen to them and give them a king. Then Samuel said to the men of Israel, everybody go back to his town. You know, I usually make a joke about this. Whenever I say that, you know, the Bible is a very funny book if you have a sense of humor like mine. It says, and the children of Israel did evil in the eyes of the Lord, Abi, and he sold them into captivity. And people will be like, where were the elders? These were the elders who... But remember something. The reason why all of this came to pass was because the custodian of the Spirit of God, the calling of God, the covenant of God over Israel, had children who did not follow in his ways. So, how many of you know the names of the kings of Israel? Why is my slide not up now? You know, we know the names of a lot of the kings of Israel, but I can bet you that you've never heard some names. Because in 208 years in the Bible, Israel had only 5 good kings and 33 bad kings. Does that tell you anything? Israel in 208 years, good kings. Thank you. Yes. In 208 years, Israel only had 5 good kings and what? 33. By the way, no, don't run. Don't let my village people come here. You can research that one. There are names of Israeli kings that, let me not say the kings of Israel that you don't know. Thank you, sir. Let me show you Nadab, Jeroboam, son. Jeroboam, obviously, son of Solomon. He practiced all the evils that his father practiced and ruled only 2 years. Baasha. How many of you have heard of Baasha before? King of Israel. He immediately killed everyone in Jeroboam's house. Ela. He assassinated Baasha and ruled only 2 years. While in a drunken stupor, he was assassinated. Zimri. He ruled only 1 week. Hearing that Zimri had become king, the people of Israel made Omri king and attacked Zimri in Tiza. Knowing he was defeated, Zimri committed suicide by going to the citadel at the king's house and burning it down upon himself. You burn the tower, the citadel. Omri, he proved to be more evil than all the kings before him, but he ruled 12 years. Ahab, you know Ahab now, the one that married Jezebel, who was the daughter of Ethbaal, the king of the Sidonians. She brought Baal worship. Okay? You know Ahaziah, he ruled for only 2 years. I just wanted to show you a few things, a few of these kings, and the way turmoil was part of the story of Israel because they went the route of politics instead of the route of God's kingdom. Now, this is the law that the Lord gave to the Israeli. Sorry, why am I saying Israeli? I understand actually. I was supposed to be in Israel next week. But with what is going on in Nigeria, I can't put 2 million on the table and say I'm going to. I have a conference that is, this week actually. I have a conference starting on Wednesday. But when I looked at the situation of Nigeria, I said, let the Israelis be. Let me be here. So, this was what the Lord told the kings of Israel that they must not do. He said, the king must never own a large number of horses or make people return to Egypt to get more horses. The Lord has told you, you will never go back again. Meaning, don't import cars. The king must not live in luxury. The king must never have a large number of wives, or he will turn away from God. And he must never own a lot of gold and silver. Is that possible? So how will he be known as a king when he cannot command a harem of beautiful women and a store of value? When he becomes king, he should have the Levitical press make him a copy of the teachings on a scroll. Before they finish doing the copy, the man will have finished the CTO. Not photocopy, handwritten copy of the scroll of the Torah. He must keep it with him and read it his entire life. He will learn to fear the Lord his God and faithfully obey everything. Then he won't think it's better than the rest of the people, and he won't disobey these commandments. Let me ask you, are these possible for a king to obey? God deliberately set these high standards because he really didn't want them to go the way of having a king. All these things that he said they should not do are the symbols of kingship outside the kingdom of God. How will I not have an Ethiopian wife, a South African wife, a Nigerian wife, so that they know that, in fact, marrying wives for kings became a matter of allegiance, strategic partnership. If you know that there is a kingdom that is most, sophisticated in terms of weapons, you marry their daughter or marry their son so they don't attack you. It was for protection. It was to build wealth. Yet, this was what God said they should not do. Let's move. So, I have shown you now how politics entered into Israel. And you, as a Christian, you see what politics is doing now to Nigeria. And we're asking you to go into politics And you are saying it is dark, it is dirty, it is greedy, it is murky and dangerous. I want you to look at this very well. Aside God, politics determines a lot of things concerning you. Without politics, you are nobody. When you were born, your birth had to be registered. Somebody had to say, yes, okay, this is the name you have chosen. Yes, this is the name this child will bear. When you get to the middle of your life and you find somebody you want to marry, we still have to drag ourselves to where? To the registry. For somebody to say, oh, you like you, say it in front of me. No, we've been saying it to ourselves. No, say it. Okay, you marry, okay, I will sign. Without that, you know you are nothing. You want to leave Nigeria, you have a passport. Even when I die, when you die, even when people have noticed that, they still have to go and call a doctor. Come and certify that this man has peme. And then the person will sign. And then the government will say it's true. He has died. You may now bury him. So from the beginning of your life, let me show you something. In some totalitarian countries, it was so bad that women had to register menstrual issues every month. China was one of them, to make sure that they controlled population. Up until 3 years ago, you could only have how many children, how many child? One. That's how pervasive the control of your life is with politics. Don't worry, some of you will say governance, but politics is the pathway to governance. Without politics, you don't have governance. So, every stage of your life, do you know that somebody could report us here for noise pollution? And if we are not careful, Nisria will come here and say we can't meet here again. It is not by happenstance that, Timothy says petitions, thanks be given for all kings and all of those in authority over us, that we may lead what? A quiet and peaceable life. Without government, there can't be peace. Ask the people of Borno. NSAS, we don't want the police. We don't want the police. 3 days, people started begging. Please bring police, so at least they take bribe. Armed robbers don't take bribe. The absence of politics, the absence of governance creates anarchy. This is where we as Christians are. I don't like it, but this is where we are. We have cocooned ourselves to church, just praying. The body is dying. Our head is, we are binding demons. We are not providing solutions. We are casting out spirits. We are not providing enlightenment. They are not seeing us in the forefront of providing succor to the people. Let's move. If the church is not political, it is irrelevant to the world that God loves so much. But if the church is partisan, meaning openly biased, it becomes a tool of the what? The empire to the world. So I don't know if you are watching us online or you are just joining us at TBN today for the first time. We are not a political church, but this is the season of politics. And we are not going to fold our hands and preach. I'm telling you, we preach holiness in this church. There's no church that prays for Nigeria more than this church. But you see, at this point, we cannot just be salt, seasoning, flavoring, invisible, quietly doing the work of, doing good. No, we must be light, showing direction. So, where are we currently, Seth? The church features in Nigeria's politics every 4 years, and we go and keep quiet. That's what we do. When it is time for election, all of them will come to churches that they won't come to TBN. We organized a debate here before, during Ajimobi and Akala. How many of you were here? We organized a debate here during Jonathan versus Buhari. Politicians were running. Some of them did not. Some of them sat here and they could not tell us anything. Some guy who was contesting to be to be senator in this particular constituency, could not even tell us what he was going to do for this constituency. Those are the people we are fighting ourselves over. So how do you define politics? Whenever I am discussing politics with people, I start with definitions. The reason is because I studied politics. My basic degree is in international relations. And I realized that once people don't understand the definition of politics, they cannot fathom, decipher, understand, appreciate what is going on in Nigeria. How do you define it? How do you participate? What is your perception of your role? Most importantly, what is your expectation? Because what kills you is the burden of expectation you put on the system. You remove the burden of expectation from yourself and then say, these people are supposed to give us light. These people are supposed to give us water. These people are supposed to give us, a few months ago, Pastor was saying it like it was going out of fashion. If it is a small, what is it called? Inverter, do in your house, put 2 batteries, 4, Abi, were you not here? How many of us did it? How much did you buy fuel this week? You see, the arm of flesh will always fail you. I assure you. It is in the Bible, isn't it? The Bible says, woe is he whose hope is in who? Man. I'll show you even in those places you are running to, politics is failing them. America is currently going through an identity crisis. God's own country now has a problem with pronouns. Ajayope, are you a he or a she or a they or a them? ECG. When you think you know about politics, it will mess you up. Like, I remember a professor, I don't want to mention his name, who was contesting for presidency, and the primaries were holding in the East. They told him to go to the West. An eminent professor. He went to the West, and when he came back, he said the primaries were over. And that's a man who sits and pontificates and tells us what we have to do in Nigeria now is to, it will humble you. So, I am a political scientist now. There are 2 definitions that political scientists usually use. They are, Harold Laswell and David Easton. He says, politics is the authoritative allocation of value. Value there is resource. Something that is scarce. You are trying to allocate it, and you have authority. And Yorubas are very funny. Yorubas will say, Tomba fun were loko. O maroko sodo are. Mr. Adeola, you should understand this by now. He says, if you give a madman a hoe, he will make a mound towards his own side, meaning he wants to favor himself. Then Harold Laswell says, politics is who gets what, when, how, and why. Now, have you seen why some of us are not getting anything? Politics is the set of activities that are associated with making decisions in groups or other forms of power relations among individuals. Activities. How does the church participate in these activities? Opening prayer, closing prayer, and then they package money for archbishops and they leave. I've been there before. I have a witness in this church. I was in a particular state in the Southwest for 2.5 years as an unofficial aide to the governor. I've seen men of God come to pray. And the chief press secretary, who was my junior in university, called me and said, Demo, your package away. And I said, who are these? I want to pray in Saleh. I'm praying. Those people who came to pray, men of God, do you think they just came to pray? They came to collect money. The bishops there, 2 million. The other ones, 1 million. All those, the other would think 500,000. I said, how would you give it to them? He said, all of them know where to park their cars. I will go and give their drivers. Yes. Ademola knows the state I'm talking to. He used to go there and chop pounded yam together. Sorry, madam, I'm always speaking on him. And when the prayer was becoming too long, the governor told them and said, I have a meeting with some people. They are waiting for me upstairs. Please, I have to go. And he left their prayer session. And I was like, Jesus, this is the anointing we carry now. Anointing to come. Just imagine in your mind that it was Elijah coming to that place. Oh, imagine, hey, bros, your first time, you didn't do well. God says, I should tell you that in 7 days, all of those policies, if you don't change them, you will die. Thank you. Bye. Do you think that power doesn't exist? But we're using that power to seek visa and pray. You know, I wanted to play that video. Supernatural crediting of your account. I was telling Pastor Isaac that I'm here to receive. God, I raised my phone too. The problem is, let the supernatural spirit not go and raid my own account and give some people, I will not see the money. Oh God. So different forms of human government. I'm going to focus on one. Democracy. Because that's what we purportedly practice in Nigeria. Abi? Maybe we practice democracy. If you think we practice democracy, just like Pastor Ademola, come and kneel down here, let me flog that spirit out of you. We don't practice democracy. Your expectation of government is first security, prosperity, freedoms. I will come to that one later if I have the time, because my time is running. And then peace, which is why you have to pray for your leaders that you might live what? A quiet and peaceable life. You see all of these things, security, prosperity, freedoms, and peace. They are premised on these four. The global situation. Number one. You see why the war in Ukraine has affected the price of bread. You see, one of the things that happened to me this week was that my son had to go buy bread. And he suddenly realized that bread is now 700 naira. And I said, Dad, bread is now 700 naira. I thought it was 350. I said, hey, that's why you should not be squashing it and just, He suddenly discovered value. Because we just take one loaf and compress it and then continue. So he suddenly realized, it's 700 naira I'm compressing like this. Country situation, the leaders you have chosen will determine what will happen to you. And then your own local reality. And then personal capacity. I have seen people in Nigeria now. Kosher, learn a trade. No. Go to school. No. Work. No. What do you want to do? The government is not good. No, what about you? Start a business. No. I've seen a parent give me the CV of a child and said to me, help my child to get a job. And I said, where? He said, just help him. And I said, so what does he do now? I think I've shared this story here before. And he told me boldly that, he doesn't have a job. But he and his friends are, doing 419, this Yahoo thing. And that's the kind of guy I'm supposed to send to somewhere for them to give a job. And then he will defraud them and they will come and catch me. So some of the personal things, some of the things we ask government, our own personal capacity when we have issues. But that's not my point. I've made my point about this. How did Nigeria choose its form of government? This is your democracy that we're in. Remember, we were colonized by the British, right? They gave us their own type of democracy, which was what? A parliamentary system of government, where you have your own region, then you send your best to the center. If he wins, he becomes prime minister. If he doesn't win, he becomes opposition leader. Jejely, we were doing that too. The military came. Elitist hijack came. just like it came in Israel. When the Israelites wanted to choose a king, did they choose the son of nobody? No. There was a man, a Benjamite, a man of standing, whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zerah. He had pedigree. The son of Bechorath, the son of Apia, of what? Benjamin. He had a son named Saul, an impressive young man without equal among the Israelites. A head taller than any of the others, meaning fine boy, tall guy, tall, dark, and sexy, broad-chested, six-pack. All of that was required to be king because the robes will fit, you know. It is still the same thing we're doing with democracy. How many of you can afford to collect a form to run for councillorship? When the form for councillorship is how much? 5 million, 2 million. And God help you, you have children in Babcock like me. You first look, school fees, no. Now, the elitist hijack doesn't happen in one day. Let me show you. This is the false leg of democracy. The seeming involvement of citizens. Let me ask you, which of the decisions that affect your life were you ever involved in taking? Do you know the councillor in your area? Chairman of your local government? House of Rep member or senator? You know, those guys are just there. They are far removed from your reality. You know where I'm from, eh? I'm from Ondo State. I'm from Akoko. I went to my village one day and everything was silent, except the hum of a very correct Perkins containerized generator in the afternoon. I was like, "Talon Jody Zul, no right?" And I just looked to walk around and I said, and my people say, she on she chairman Tony. What he Jody Zul, you know, go time in 24 hours. He said it in my dialect. He's the guy that just left being chairman of our local government. That's how he burns diesel every 24 hours. I was like, really? In this village? So I looked, and that was the time Okonjo-Iweala used to publish how much she was giving local governments every month. I looked, my local government collected 258 million that month. Honestly, 50 million was not in that local government. How? Place that I bought something of 350 and gave somebody 1,000 and said, hey, let's change the law, maybe I made it at the hey. Is that the economy that 256 million was in? Democracy is sometimes unwieldy and very expensive everywhere in the world. You have House of Assembly members. You have governors. You have House of Rep. You have... I've forgotten the council of the local government council. Supervisory this, supervisory that. It is easy to hijack by the elite. By simply placing adoption hurdles, you cannot collect form and you cannot even participate. Personal freedoms could be taken too far. That is what is happening in America now. Your child could wake up in America now and say, I now identify as a lion. It is happening. And they say, hey, Simba, how are you? I'm fine. Two of my friends have had children who've boldly come up. One is 16, one is 17. I boldly come and say, Dad, I like women. I don't like men. I'm gay. In the past 2 months, it's happening. There is no way you are going to have democracy and not have political conflict. It's impossible. Just look at God's own country. See Obama, see Trump, and then see Biden. There's still more coming. That's what politics does. Then it slows down decision making. You want to do drainage in front of your own place and say you have to take. Sometimes you have to pay. Now, in all of this, where are Christians? Where are Christians? I'm worried for my time. This is Nigerian politics. When the foundations be destroyed, you know that, Abi? Now let me go back to Nigerian politics. In 1966, somebody said, we now needed to go to a unitary system. We are not doing that regionalism again. Oh yeah, everybody, put the power in the center and let everybody look for resource in the center to contest. That's where our problem came from. Remember that we're practicing parliamentary system of government on a British, constitution, a British judiciary. Subsequently, when the civilians took over, we just decided to go presidential. We took a king for ourselves, like the Israelites, with all the powers. I remember the motorcade of Shagari. I remember the motorcade of Gowon. There will be Nigerian Navy daredevils doing like this in front of Lai Sholong. And he's not God. That's your foundation. Every child born in the 80s, 90s wanted to be what? A politician. Why? Monsieur Bokon lawyer. It affects you, it affects everybody around you. I remember my first time of seeing a Toyota Crown was when Alhaji Lateef Jakonde came to my father's house. And I was like, wow. I could play at the back of the car without hitting my head or anything. So I kept telling my dad, you needed to buy this car. It took my dad 4 years. We paid 18,850. I remember because we went to Barclays Bank together and we paid it to RT Briscoe. When they brought the Toyota Crown to our house, my dad was like, can you see mirroring? Let's move. My time. Quick historical perspective. Before 1960, everybody was competing to lead a black, prosperous nation, right? If you read Awolowo, you read Zik, everybody, they were so convinced that Nigeria was going to be a great nation, so they were willing to lead it. By 1960, we had started scheming to do what? To undermine each other, using ethnicity. NCNC had come, Action Group had come, MPC had come, and all of them were across what? Ethnic lines. I'm sure there's a generation here that is lost on this. The reason why I do all of this is that when you argue politics with a man my age, you should be very careful because you just come out and say, vote for AAC, vote for Labour Party, vote for APC. I'm coming there. In 1966, there was the first major event with ethnic consideration. There was a coup. And people said it was an Igbo coup. That the Igbo officers killed Yorubas and Hausa leaders. By 1979, returned to politics and democratic values. We only brought people who had been hungry. We could not even put our best in place. In 1999, the military gathered some things together and called themselves PDP. They gathered apologetics of the military and a few military people. And then in 2015, we came with what? Messiah mindset. Once Buhari enters, Nigeria will be good. In some ways now, we are back to the Messiah mindset. It brought disappointment. Now, I keep emphasizing this, so I'm going to skip this. Christians don't know how to engage Nigeria's politics. There is the technocratic model, Joseph, Nehemiah, Mordecai. There is the intellectual model, Daniel and the men of what? Issachar. Daniel knew by books the number of years, Then there is mobilizer, grassroots mobilizer, who writes and speaks, Paul. Then there is a professional, Andrew, Agbowode, tax collector. Luke, Peter, fisherman. Then there are prophets. Those ones, they are to say, Oga. So I'm going to own in on Nehemiah because that was what we did in the first service. By the way, that name means God comforts. It means what? God comforts. Nehemiah was comfortable. He was a cupbearer to the king. And if you know what that means, he was in charge of a large stock of gold and silver that the king would use to eat and drink and be merry. He had credibility. But he didn't stop at that. He didn't need to go to the gate. How did Nehemiah walk? Half of his men did the work. The other were equipped with spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers posted themselves behind all the people in Judah who were building the wall. Those who carried materials did their work with one hand and held what? A weapon in the other hand. This is what Christians are supposed to be able to do. And each of the builders wore a sword at his side as he worked. Now, this one that I put in bold is my own. But the man who sounded the trumpet stayed with who? Do you know who that is? The press. The media. Nehemiah kept the press close. Have you ever wondered why every politician of note always try to put the press in their pocket? I'll show you now. The reason why they do that is because your perception of reality and what they are trying to do to help your reality is more important than what the reality is. Powerful groups, political groups, they don't camp at your outcomes. They predetermine your outcome by camping at your choices. So if you don't participate in the preliminary process, how can somebody who didn't contest go to Supreme Court and win? How can somebody who was third in an election suddenly become number one? A lot of us Christians don't even understand why these things happen. You see, myself and Adewusi belong to two opposing camps politically. I'm always learning from him like he's always learning from me. I will send him something and say, we have caught you people here, and say it's a lie. This. I'll look at the loopholes and say, it's true. Hey. I say it's a lie. We have this, we have that. Powerful groups count at your process. They raise entry requirements. They force your options. Tell me that all the people contesting now are the best that Nigeria has. Tell me now. They buy your conscience. Even Donald Trump sent food to people in America. I'm telling you. So they are sending food or they are sending coupons in America. Their interest transcends their politics. That's what we're talking about. And I said, I don't know who gave you my slides. One of the most powerful families in Nigeria had a burial for their mom on Friday in one of our states. I was there. Everybody that was anybody was there across political parties. They sat together, ate together, drank together, took pictures, and left. You are fighting their battle on social media, and you are alienating your brother. You are a stupid person. You are an idiot. How can you say that also is not the Messiah? Really? I am not part of that crowd. They catalyze you. They use you like a catalyst, like salt, just to flavor their. I saw one boy running in front of one. It was like this. I was like, hey, you see this boy's life. They think he's a hero. Give him 1 year. I know somebody who walked from Sokoto to Abuja or to Lagos because of somebody. The boy died last year. I'm brutally frank and honest when I say these things. The three major candidates in Nigeria's presidential election have all been part of the two major parties at one point or the other. Forms for nomination are what? Expensive. Electioneering itself is very expensive. When I heard somebody says, we know they give shishi, I started laughing. You know why? Shishi will give him. You don't understand what it is to run election. Perception can be bought. Perception will be bought. Do you know how many radio stations are in Ibadan? As of today, 25. 40 now. Thank you, ma. I thought they were 25. The list they sent to me had 25. They're 40. The narrative can be shaped. Christians don't know how to shape narrative. Give a Christian a microphone at a political event. You say, we want to thank the Lord for the opportunity to be here. You have shown your hand. Everybody knows you are a Christian. Give the other, you will say, Moki Gbogbole. I have learned this in the past 4 years. What is Gbogbole? We sit down here and you say, Moki Gbogbole. Where is the house? Meaning I greet the house. I want Baba Watoro Awaleni. The way they speak is different from the way you speak. That's why the Bible says what? The children of the world are wiser in their ways. The first political meeting I attended in my life, under this particular dispensation, I spoke. And they were like, they called somebody immediately. I received the call. Ademola, I didn't send you to that place to talk. I sent you to listen so you can learn. Since that day, I sit down like Mumu. Because the things they talk about are not the things you talk about. The perception of reality that you embrace is more important than the truth. Look at North Korea. The government tells them when to laugh. They smile. Yes. It is that controlling. America has a problem with guns, but they think it is guns that will defend them. You cannot take away the First Amendment, right to bear arms. And then you see the 6-year-old take a gun and say, Mom, I'm going to shoot you. Po. Hey, Mom is dead. You didn't hear the news? Singapore, I told you in the morning, Singapore and chewing gum. And Wi-Fi. Switzerland decided, look, I want to be like Israel. I want to be a pacifist nation. I will have no navy. I will have no army. I will have just a police force. Because they did that, other nations decided they will be safe. Let us put our money in this nation. So they put their money. They are one of the richest nations in the world, one of the most secure. Can you see thinking? They're a pacifist nation. There is no army, there is no air force, there is nothing. And guess what? They're in the middle of powerful nations. So before you attack Switzerland, you have to fly through Italy, France, or Germany, or Austria, all of which are NATO countries. China, economic development. You do it, we make it. You do it once. China, we make it. How you make it? Don't worry, bring it. American standard, $3. EU standard, $2. African standard, 30 cents. We do it. Bring it. Dubai. This is where I start to tell you about kingdoms. Everywhere that developed in the world, tell me which one of them that developed under a democracy. If it was a democracy, it was a dictatorial democracy. One man had the light in his head and decided, if them born aware, me una no follow me. That was what happened. Singapore, one man. Dubai, one man. That is the difference between kingdom and democracy. You bring a man from nowhere who doesn't have 2 cars and you make him local government chairman. After 4 years, he must have 5 or 6. You take a man and say you are the prince of this place and you do what? You make him king. Do you know he doesn't have to steal? Because he owns the entire thing. Ojulo come on late on that job now. Iti gbogbara le nda won ni. You know, I should say that in English. I said, it's impatience that makes a thief start a contribute in a contribution. Because if he knows where they keep the contribution, everybody's contribution still belongs to him because he's going to steal it. That is the difference between kingdom mindset and democratic mindset, this political mindset. When you put politics, you put politicians in power, they have a term, meaning a limit. And then so you want me to come and sirens will blare for 4 years. And after that, I'll now go back to my house. That's wickedness now. Stop thinking binary. PDP is good, APC is bad, APC is good. I'm going to play a video now. I'm going to crave your indulgence. This video, I'm sorry, Pastor Lumide, I just want like 5 minutes more, please. Or should we pack church and go? Let me show you something. I'm going to show, and I want, please, this video I'm about to show, please just listen to it with an open mind. I'm not biased, and you will see when I come up. Is that video ready? I don't want to waste time, please. If it's ready, play it, and I'll stop talking.
My problem is that even if I emerge as a candidate of PDP, I will not do well because the baggage that party carries and the culture of that party is inimical to Nigeria's growth. That's the truth. I know PDP. I'm a founding member of the PDP. Because if you go into the PDP, if you want to deal with corruption, right? There are so many toes you will thread on in the PDP. You will not be able to. But I tell you, no matter how well-intentioned you are on the PDP, you can't do much. Half of the people there have cases in EFCC.
Thank you. Now, I know some people are happy. Ademola played a video of the PDP. If you are in the APC, you are worse. First is, I don't think binary. There are only a few people in Nigeria who are in the APC who are not in the PDP. That's one. Second is, the history of the APC. It's an assortment of people who just got together and said, let us take power. And then somebody said, if you take power, what will not happen? Let's take power first. When we take power first, we'll decide. Did it not show? They were able to take the power, but they were not able to govern. And then somebody says, let us do Labour Party. Which Labour Party? Labour Party is a dead party that is usually resurrected by people who have fledgling political careers in another place. Mimiko was the first one to use it. That platform should belong to the Nigerian Labour Congress, like the Labour Party of the UK. If he wins, I can assure you in 2 weeks he'll be in PDP. It is the truth. Because he has no governor, no councillor, no chairman, nothing. That's where we have pushed ourselves to. He cannot pass anything in the in the National Assembly. He's lame duck. Then we have AAC, Showore's party. He's the chairman, secretary, financial secretary, presidential aspirant. He's running from court to court. We cannot continue this way. We must protest. We must fight. Is that where your hope is? Then there is Kowa party. They come like, what is it called? The eclipse of the sun. Once in every... Is that where your hope is? So on all sides, greedy men, men without vision, even men without certificates. I will not mention name. Men who are given to enjoyment. Men who just love power for power's sake. You know, they talked about the PDP. The reason why I chose that was because it was a founding member of the PDP talking. Every video I tried to play of the APC, they were fighting themselves. So they were not talking about their platform. Fanika, are they talking about social person? Dino talking about. So I didn't see one that talked about the platform. But for me, APDC or PDP, APC and JPC, they are the same. It is you that is supposed to bring God's kingdom to those places. But you are afraid. We go to political... we go to rally and you see somebody wearing his ifupa and you're like, let me run away. And we carry power. Your power is only in this place, Abi. Of what use is light when it runs away from darkness? Now we have leadership without character, conviction, or forget about when they read speeches. We write those things. Catch them somewhere and say, sir, what is the economic agenda for this state? Then they start bearing Akwa Ibom names. And those are the people you have hope in. Don't do that too. How many nations developed under a democracy? Kingdoms develop faster. I'm telling you. So what do they use to manipulate you and I? Religion is one of it. Ethnicity is another. Group identity. I want a Yoruba man there. All the Yoruba men that have been there, did they change your life? Some of them were in our family, were our friends. They didn't change anything. Or class, or privilege. We're fooling ourselves. I remember here in this church, somebody came up here and said they wanted to change the former CBN governor and bring Sanusi Lamido Sanusi. And we prayed that prayer only for pastor to come and say, no, they can bring anybody, only that the agenda of God must be done. Sanusi Lamido Sanusi was a Muslim, Abi. How does he compare to our Christian? Sorry, I don't know his name, so I might not be able to. So let me round up, because my time is gone. I believe strongly that as we have a school of prayer, Christians now need to have a school of politics and governance, where they will be looking for a solution to a problem, and 6 of us in this church will write it and say, try this if it will not work. We should not be here fighting each other over who will be pastor, who will lead the choir. Ushering team are fighting. They put an Igbo lady there. Technical is fighting. It's a brother Shewi. He doesn't greet us. The last time pastor called me to preach in this church was 2015. I will never preach again in that church. Why don't you preach with words if necessary? We localize ourselves. We bind and cast here. Out there, we are very gentle. Good morning, sir. How? There was somebody that we were dealing with in Lagos, and he told me that if you go to his office, you will see, that's my last slide, sorry. You will see him. He's always doing this thing. He will put alligator pepper, very correct suit wearing, nicely spoken man. He will put alligator pepper and do chewy in the morning before he talks to anybody. I say, hey. So they said, don't go to his place in the morning. I say, hey, me. I went there early in the morning. That what? That small thing they gave him. He's not going to work. I went there. He was doing shwing truly. Shwing. I said, okay, your ministry is owing my company. The man looked at me. He said, he says, I know you somewhere. I said, I don't know, sir. I don't know your hair. What he was judging was the effrontery for me to say, what did they give you in that village? That we run away from those things. I don't. When I see some of them who make noise and they say, me, I have not joined them up. I push them at Dr. Ademola. You think I crazy? Come and see this one. Now, old man boy, crazy pass me. Where? I don't fear any of those things. Those are the things they used to cheat you in politics. We must teach ourselves governance, politics, till we know it and we're able to behave like Nehemiah. I don't have the time to go into his story, but let me show you the skills we need. How many of us here can do policy or proposal writing? Wahala. So, you identify a problem. They say, yeah, give us a solution. You cannot write it. Yeah, you are not in Nehemiah now. Nehemiah had a plan. You see, by nature, by DNA, I can write proposal and policies. You know why? I'm an Ondo man. I'm an Ekiti man. To write petition is in my DNA. If I write a petition against you, you might not survive it. If you can write petition, there was a military administrator that was brought to Old Ondo State. The man said, don't write me any petition, you people. Now, if I spend my whole time here reading petitions, I will not govern the state. We must learn it. Agenda setting and mobilization. Means being able to get people around you, controlling the narrative. In your estate, people don't come and talk to you when they want to. Where I live, they said I should attend the landlord's meeting. I say I'm not a landlord. I'm a house builder. They said, why? I said, all the landlords have not paid their security fees. I've looked at, when all the landlords have paid, I will come. All of them have started paying now. Before they knew what was happening, I had bought walkie-talkies for the night guards. They said, that man is serious. They've started doing something. Public finance management. When somebody says to you, the budget will be financed 70% by borrowing or lending or other means, not by revenue. What does that mean? It means atijekbese. But you don't know. Then you will clap. Especially this new generation of typing. You don't even understand what we are talking about. You are just clapping for nothing. Public procurement. You don't understand it. Should I tell you a secret? Most of the people who have gone to jail, high profile people who have gone to jail in Nigeria are Christians for corruption. The first one was a Reverend Jolly Inyame, followed by Joshua Dariye. You know why? It's lack of skill. Professor Mrs. Grange, they minuted for her on a post-it note, and she gave approval on a post-it note. And the directors removed the post-it note when they disbursed money. EFCC came and said, why did you approve? She said, they told me, how can you approve on they told? They spoiled that woman's career. Public procurement, data and project management. You don't understand it. That's why you will go and pay for a contract 50, 60%. And I'll say, no, sir. You cannot pay more than 20%. And it's payment by milestone. And you need completion certificate. I didn't know. Monitoring and evaluation. You don't know anything about it. And you'll be discussing politics. How? How do you evaluate a program, a policy, or a project that it is working? And you are there saying, this person is our leader. He's going to make Nigeria great. That's where your hope is. That's not where my hope is. Public speaking. We will call you out here to come and speak to those of us you see every Sunday. And you'll not be able to speak to us. You see us every Sunday. And you now want to go to the UN. That's where you want to learn? No, now. Come and learn Wednesday, midweek service. Make mistakes. We will laugh. And we forget about it. Relationship management. And then change management. Now, all of these things are the things we will learn in our school of what? Politics and governance. So that when you show up somewhere in your ward meeting, they'll be like, you will not go there like my sister said, like a sheep amongst what? Wolves. So on this Sunday, I want to thank you for giving me extra time. And I want to say something to you. Don't put your hope in politics. You are the kingdom. You want me now? They're not looking for anybody. They're looking for you. I'm not going to take my prayer points because Zainab has taken. I'm just going to sing a song and I hope the choir can help me. I will lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth.
He said, he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord that keepeth me, he will not slumber nor sleep.
Lord is my keeper. Lord. Well, I think that's quite a challenge that we all have been handed over. I think it's a major challenge. And for those of you who live in Canada, I know this is relevant. I know this is absolutely relevant. If you're here and you don't get involved with stuff, you don't get involved with the politics, you don't get involved with your community, you don't get engaged with the things that are happening around you, you would always be people that want for things to be given to them. So I want to encourage you. Shagun, you can stop the video now, please. Welcome. This is the Bridge Network. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's took longer than normal, but so next week we'll be moving closer and closer. So we'll have one more shot at this, and then on the 26th, we'll review everything that has happened, and we'll see where we go from there. So God bless you. Thank you. Shagun, you can sign out now. Thank you. Welcome. This is the Bridge Network, City Church, Canada. We're very glad to have you here, and our vision is outstanding life and service to God, transforming our world. We invite you to come for the word, but we know that you will stay for the kingdom. The Bridge Network is located in Canada, Vancouver, and we believe in connecting to each other, to the community, and to God. To support us and to be part of this, these are the information you need to be able to do that. We welcome you to our program today, and we trust that you're going to be blessed. Thank you so much for being with us. The Bridge Network, City Church, Canada. God bless you.